The phone buzzed against my palm at 2:17 a.m. and the screen lit up with her name. Claire, like a flare in a blackout. 21 days of nothing, not a syllable, not even the accidental butt dial that used to happen when she reached for her keys. And now this. Can we talk? 4 words, no punctuation, no emoji. Just the same tone she used when she asked if I wanted Thai or pizza. My thumb hovered, pulse hammering so hard I felt it in my teeth. I typed back before the rational part of my brain could stop me. Sure. Start with why your wedding ring is in a plastic bag in my sock drawer and your toothbrush is still in the cup like nothing happened. I hit send, dropped the phone on the mattress, and stared at the ceiling until the glow died. 3 weeks earlier I'd come home early because the client cancelled and the house smelled wrong. Too clean, like someone had bleached away every trace of us. Her laptop sat open on the kitchen island, lid half shut, screensaver swirling. I wasn't snooping. I only meant to close it so the battery wouldn't die. But the Slack window was still active, pinned to the top, and the last message from Evan Product glowed unread. Last night was everything. Same hotel Thursday. My stomach folded in on itself. I scrolled up, couldn't stop, each line a paper cut. They'd been meeting since the Denver conference in March. 6 months of inside jokes and calendar invites disguised as sync-ups. She called him E in the threads, the same nickname she'd given me when we were 24 and broke and living on instant ramen. I read until the words blurred, then closed the lid and stood in the kitchen listening to the refrigerator hum like it was trying to fill the silence she'd left. She walked in at 6:30 carrying grocery bags, hair twisted up with a pencil, humming something I didn't recognize. The second she saw my face, the humming stopped. "Hey, you're home early," she said, too bright, and set the bags on the counter. Milk, strawberries, the expensive oat milk she pretended was for me but drank herself. I couldn't speak. She followed my eyes to the closed laptop and the color drained from her cheeks the way water slips down a glass. "It's not what you think," she started, but the sentence died when I opened the drawer and took out the velvet box where her ring should have been. Empty. She'd left it on the bathroom counter that morning, or so I thought. I found it later wrapped in a tissue inside her gym bag like contraband. We didn't scream. That was the strangest part. Claire hated yelling. She'd grown up with parents who weaponized volume. Instead she sat on the stool and folded her hands in her lap like a kid waiting for the principal. "I panicked," she said. "I took it off before spin class because my fingers swell and I forgot to put it back on." Lie number 1. Small and polished. I asked about Evan. She looked at the floor, then at me, then at the floor again. "He's a friend," she said. "We talk." Lie number 2, bigger, but delivered with the same calm voice she used to read bedtime stories to our niece. I asked why her toothbrush hadn't moved in 3 days. She said she'd been staying at her sister's to give me space after our last fight about the credit card bill. Lie number 3, and that one cracked me open because her sister was in Portugal for the month and had posted sunset photos every night. I told her to pack a bag. Not dramatic, not cinematic. Just get what you need for a few days and go. She cried then, quiet tears that slid off her chin onto the hardwood we'd refinished together the summer before the wedding. She kept saying, "I'm sorry," like a broken record, but sorry for what exactly she never specified. I watched her fold sweaters into the suitcase we bought for our honeymoon, the one with the broken wheel, and I felt this hollow ache where love used to be, like someone had scooped it out with a melon baller. When the Uber pulled up, she hesitated at the door. "I love you," she said. I believed her and I didn't. The door shut. The house exhaled. The first week I functioned on autopilot. Showered, went to work, answered emails with periods instead of exclamation points. Friends texted, "You okay?" And I replied with thumbs up emojis because explaining felt impossible. I slept on the couch because the bed smelled like a coconut shampoo and the indentation of her body was still there, a ghost in memory foam. I kept waiting for the rage, the cinematic moment where I smash plates or burn her clothes, but mostly I felt tired, the kind of bone-deep exhaustion that makes your teeth ache. I cooked eggs at midnight and left them uneaten. I watered her orchids even though they were already brown at the edges. Week 2 I started digging, not proud of it but unable to stop. Her iCloud backup synced to the old iPad in the drawer. The password was still our wedding date. I found the hotel receipts, the Uber history, the playlist titled E&C, with songs we'd danced to at our reception. There was a photo of them at the rooftop bar downtown, her head on his shoulder, city lights behind them like a postcard. She looked happy in a way I hadn't seen in years. Not since before the miscarriages, before the layoffs, before we stopped finishing each other's sentences. That photo hurt worse than any explicit text because it was ordinary. They weren't sneaking. They were living. I printed the receipts, the messages, the photo, and laid them on the dining table like evidence in a trial. I wasn't sure why. Maybe I thought if I saw it all together the story would make sense. It didn't. Claire had always been the steady one, the girl who color-coded the spice rack and remembered my mom's birthday. This version of her, secretive, reckless, felt like a stranger wearing my wife's skin. I kept thinking about the night we painted the nursery sage green, how she'd danced with a roller in her hand to Stevie Wonder, belly round at 7 months. We lost the baby 2 weeks later. We never painted over the walls. The crib sat empty in the garage, still in its box. Maybe that was the fracture point, the moment the ground shifted and neither of us noticed. Week 3, the silence calcified. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. I ran at dawn until my lungs burned. I told my boss I needed a personal day and spent it driving the back roads we used to take to the orchard in fall, windows down, radio off. I thought about texting her 100 times. Accusations, questions, pleas, but every draft sounded pathetic. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd thrown away, but mostly I wanted to stop feeling it myself. Then came the 2:17 a.m. text. After I sent my reply, I sat on the edge of the bed in the dark, heart jackhammering. The 3 dots appeared, vanished, appeared again. 10 minutes later, I don't know how to explain without sounding like a monster. Another pause. I'm outside. I walked to the window. Her car idled at the curb, headlights off, exhaust curling in the cold. She got out slowly, arms wrapped around herself, wearing the same gray coat she wore the night we brought Rosie the beagle home from the shelter. The porch light caught the tears on her face. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. The November air bit my bare feet. Say it, I told her. My voice sounded like gravel. She swallowed. I ended it with Evan. 2 days ago. I couldn't breathe around the lying anymore. She looked at the welcome mat we'd argued over at Target. I thought if I stayed away long enough you'd miss me enough to forget the details. Stupid, I know. A shaky laugh escaped her. I miss the way you leave the coffee pot on for me even when you're mad. I miss your terrible pancakes. I miss us. I wanted to believe the crack in her voice, the way her hands trembled. Part of me still loved the girl who used to fall asleep on my chest during thunderstorms. But the other part, the part that had memorized every betrayal, stood firm. You didn't just lie, Claire. You rewrote our history in real time. Every "I'm working late" was a choice to erase me. I stepped back, hand on the door. I don't know how to unknow what I know. Her face crumpled. What does that mean? It means I'm keeping the dog, the house, the sage green nursery we never used. It means you should go. I started to close the door. Wait. She stuck her foot in the gap, wincing when the wood pinched it. Please. One chance. Counseling, whatever you want. I'll tell you everything, every ugly detail, until you're sick of hearing it. I looked at her then, really looked. The woman I'd planned a lifetime with, standing on the porch at 2:30 a.m. begging for scraps. And I felt the last thread snap. You had every chance for 6 months, I said. You chose him every time the phone buzzed. I'm done being the backup plan. I shut the door, locked it, leaned my forehead against the wood and listened to her cry through 2 inches of oak. Eventually the car engine turned over and the headlights swept across the curtains as she pulled away. I slid down to the floor, knees to chest, and let the tears come, ugly, snotty, the kind that leave you hollowed out. Morning found me at the kitchen table with coffee gone cold and the printed evidence stacked beside me. I opened the phone, thumbs steady for the first time in weeks. I typed, "The papers will be delivered to your sisters by noon. Sign them. Don't text again unless it's through lawyers. I deserve a life that isn't built on footnotes." I hit send, powered the phone off, and walked to the sage green room. The crib box leaned against the wall like a coffin for dreams we'd buried. I dragged it to the driveway, wrote "free" in black Sharpie, and left it at the curb. By noon a young couple stopped, all nervous smiles and measuring tape. They asked if the color was customizable. I told them paint was the least of it. They loaded the box into their truck and waved thanks. I watched them drive away with the last piece of our almost family and felt something loosen in my chest. Not peace, not yet, but space. Room to breathe. That night I cooked pancakes, burned half, ate 3 anyway. I left the coffee pot on out of habit, then turned it off. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was mine. And somewhere between the burnt edges and the quiet, I understood the hardest truth. Love isn't a promise you keep. It's a promise you choose, every single day, until one of you stops choosing back.